Let's give the top 5 reasons that Brock Purdy is going to ball out this season.
Yeah, man. You know what? I was really thinking. I had a good conversation with a buddy of mine. Went to my son's track meet, and we were talking about uh, Brock Purdy and how the most important thing in sports is really your mentality. It's your mindset, and Brock's mindset is one of the best I've seen in a long time. No BS. Like the ability to come in as a 7th-round draft pick, take over, and have the confidence and the swagger, and to be able to process the way he did, figure out the offense. To me, Brock Purdy's mind is one of the top 5 reasons why Brock will ball out this coming season. I mean, your mental is more important than anything physical. So I think that's a real big reason why I expect Brock to do really well again this year. Second one, man, he's healthy.
Yeah.
What's impressive about Brock Purdy last season is what he was able to do coming off a UCL injury. Like, I didn't even necessarily think he was going to be available for week 1, but he was there in training camp. And he seemed to somehow improve over year 1 despite having a UCL injury. This year he's healthy, has an entire offseason. So that's another reason why I think so. The other thing is his confidence. So confidence, aggression, mentality, those are some of the most important things you can have in sports. If you're not confident, you're not going to be really good at anything in sports. You have to be confident, especially at this level. And Brock Purdy's confidence is next level. It's one of his strongest assets to be able to come into the team and tell George Kittle he talks too much and command the huddle the way Brock Purdy has. Another reason I think Brock Purdy is going to continue to ball out. Continuation, right? The continuation of being able to play with the same guys. It's basically the same team, same offensive line, same running back, most likely same receivers if BA comes back, same offense, same George Kittle. It's a lot of continuation, right? It's just more of the same, and he's had a lot of practice doing it more so than he did last year. And then the last reason 5 why I think Brock Purdy's going to ball out, it's a contract year, man. If dude balls out this year, I mean, whether he gets paid after this coming season is entirely dependent on this year. If he comes out and plays the same way he did this past year, stays healthy, the same or even better, he's going to make life-changing money for his entire family. So those are 5 reasons why I think Brock Purdy's going to put it all together and ball the hell out this year.
Yeah, those are great reasons. I mean, there's so many reasons to think that Brock Purdy will ball out. He's still not making much money. He's still on a really good team. He's still got a good offensive coach who's elite for like 99.9% of the season until, well, you guys know. But that has nothing to do with Brock. And I would agree. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to think that he's going to ball out this year. There's some reasons to think that he won't. We can get into that a little later, but I don't want to get negative yet.
Yeah.
I just want to bask in the hope and dreams of him actually winning the MVP this year. I think he can do it. Why not?
Here's the thing, man. Like, I was really thinking about, like, we all know I doubted Brock Purdy after year 1, a little Jimmy G, PTSD. I saw Brock coming in. He wasn't really taking those deep shots very often. I think he had 6 passes over, 20 or 30 yards, something like that. He didn't really go deep. He was dinking and dunking. I thought it was another Jimmy. And then the next year he comes out and he's one of the best deep ball passers in the NFL. He has, not that he's going to throw 65 yards, but he can throw those 35, 40-yard passes just fine with the anticipation. Brock Purdy is impressive as hell, dude. Like, when you really think about, I'm not talking about his physical side. He's quick in the pocket, elusive, which is great, especially if you have a trash O-line. But he is just mentally has it. Like,
yeah,
you would struggle to find a quarterback in the NFL right now. Like, name me one. Well, what quarterback in the NFL right now has a better mental makeup than Brock Purdy? I mean, there's some that would have similar, like Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, I'm going to put him above everybody else. But outside of Mahomes, who has a better mental makeup? I'm not talking about the physical things, the mental makeup.
Yeah, I would agree. He's right up there with Mahomes and Burrow and the best, because he's not just smart, but he's a hell of a competitor too, and he's poised and he's calm, relaxed. I mean, even like some people might question Justin Herbert's mental makeup. Like, where is your personality? Where is your leadership? Where's your competitiveness? Definitely can throw a football well. So yeah, I would agree with that with Brock Purdy. That's off the charts for him.
Yeah, and his confidence.
Yeah.
If you want to be a quarterback in the NFL, you have to have confidence. I think that's the main thing that Trey Lance lacked. He didn't have that confidence. Brock
Yeah.
Purdy has that confidence. That comes from experience, comes from his upbringing, comes from a lot of things. But there's one thing he doesn't lack, and it's confidence. And what's cool about him is he does it in a way that still seems humble, which is hard. That's a tough, narrow line to walk, right? Being confident, but also being humble. And he's a good leader. Like, there's so many impressive things when it comes to Brock Purdy. I was really thinking about it. I'm like, man, I probably am not giving him his proper credit when it comes to the mental side of his job, which is probably the most important thing that there is.
Also, in addition to the mental side, I think he kind of figured out as the season went on and as he had to like find ways to win playoff games where he was trailing, that his legs are a legit weapon, and he shouldn't be ashamed of using them. He should actually use them more. They're a big reason why he won the NFC Championship game, and he didn't scramble that much in the Super Bowl where Mahomes did, and that was a big difference in the Super Bowl. So I think he talked about it after the season, and I think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive. Like, yes, you want to sit in the pocket and go through the progression because you got a great play designer and you have a lot of weapons, but you don't have a great offensive line.
Yeah.
And if you got to scramble, go ahead and scramble because you're good at it.
Protect yourself and scramble, but he is really good at it. You saw it in the Bengals game. You saw it in a few games this year where, like, all of a sudden he's a scrambler. Like in the Bengals game, he was just ridiculously good at running. And if you, I think on the exit interview with Brock Purdy, he said there's two things he's going to work on. One is his arm strength, because that's obviously something he needs to improve on. Even coming out of college before his UCL injury, that was his known weakness. I think it has improved, and I think it's going to improve even more so this coming year. And the other was his mobility, running the ball. And his mobility was pretty damn good. So if he improves those two things, his arm strength and his mobility, which his mobility was already pretty good, he's going to be a better quarterback. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's statistically going to improve upon last year. That might be tough to do from an efficiency standpoint. And he might get really confident and almost too confident to where he's taking a little bit too much risk. I could see that bringing his interception numbers up. But I think overall he's going to be a better quarterback. And if there's one thing I've learned not to do is doubt Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy says he's going to improve his arm strength, I believe that he's going to. If he says he's going to improve his mobility, I believe he's going to, because he hasn't given me any reason to not believe that he will do it.
Yeah, and here's why the scrambling's important, because it seems like the book on Brock or the Niners passing game in general, not just him, is if you can play man-to-man coverage, you should. Because if you play zone, you're going to get beat by Debo. You're going to give him free release into your defense. Kyle will scheme up voids, and once he catches the ball, you're screwed. Brock is so good at throwing to spots with anticipation that once he diagnoses what zone you're playing, which he will quite quickly, you're at his mercy. But if you can play man-to-man coverage, Debo's not going to beat that. Kittle isn't always going to beat that. And Purdy doesn't necessarily have the top level arm talent to fit passes into receivers who are tightly covered down the field. But one thing you can do against man-to-man coverage is scramble, because all those DBs are turning and chasing and not looking at the quarterback. And I think that's what we saw when Purdy recognized that he was getting a lot of man-to-man coverage. Like, take off and run. You could get chunk plays. He's a fast guy. I think he needs to be even more aggressive. Like, he could have done more of that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing too, I mean, like, I know defenses the defenses have a lot of film on Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy now has a lot of film on Brock Purdy, which is going to help him and Kyle Shanahan as well, right? Like, he can learn. Again, I go back to his mentality. His mentality is his strength. And he's a smart guy, and he's got the right mentality to be an NFL quarterback. Part of that means just getting in the books or the film, so to speak. He's got a lot of film that he can go back and review now. Like, this is what I did wrong. This is how I can improve. And Yes, defenses are going to be doing the same thing for Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy is going to be able to learn from his mistakes and how to approach it, as well as Kyle Shanahan now has a lot more film of Brock Purdy, and Kyle Shanahan will probably be able to cater his offense a little better for Brock as well. So, I mean, again, I don't know if Brock Purdy is going to have the statistical year that he had last year. I think that would be difficult to do. He might improve in some areas. He might get more yards, right? But his interceptions might go up. He might get more touchdowns, but his completion percentage might go down. But either way, I think he's more prepared to play quarterback in the NFL, and he's going to be a better quarterback because of it.